you go. Took her a hot minute. Hey, welcome back to ZK Mastertech. Here's an update on the 9570R. So I came back here, did all the tests that I was supposed to do. I'll also put a card up in this video, a link to a video where it'll show those tests explained in detail. So if you want to know more information, you can go to that video and check it out. But I came here, did the injector flow return test, and it was in spec. Now, in my experience, it should flow way less than it did because I've flowed these with brand new injectors and you get way less than the spec. Anyway, the spec's 120 milliliters in 60 seconds and it was about 110. So, you know, we're right on the edge, but technically in spec. So I moved on, did the high pressure pump return flow test. That was good. All the fuel tests that I did on this tractor showed good in spec. I checked the whole entire after treatment out looking for leaks, any loose clamps, blown out gaskets, nothing. That all looks good. So I did a regen and recorded all of the data on the ECM for the entire regen, which took exactly 1 hour to get done. And then I submitted a DTAC case, sent them the recording, had them look over it. They think that we need to put a set of injectors in this thing. I think that the injectors might be sticking open and dumping too much fuel, which wouldn't show up really bad on the injector return test if the injectors were just kind of sticking open and leaking fuel into the cylinder. So today I'm going to put a set of injectors in this QSX15 Cummins. And you guys seen me do this before. So like I said, refer to that video if you want to learn more, because I'm not going to show you a step-by-step process on this video, but I'm going to kind of, you know, show my progress as we go along. Okay. So I've already got the crankcase ventilation off because there's a big giant filter right there for the crankcase vent, and it's in your way to get to the number one injector. You can do it with it there, but it's just a pain in the butt. It's just a lot easier to get that filter and that mounting plate and everything off there so you can get in there and do your business. So I got that all off. I've already got the rocker cover off. So now my next step is to take the injection harness off and start pulling fuel lines and injectors. So let's get into it. All right, we got the FAV opened up, got the battle station all assembled. We got my scaffolding here, which makes it a lot easier to get up and down off this tire where you're not having to put, you know, all your weight and support yourself on the tire the entire time. Then I just get a little step ladder to get up on there. And then I got my fold out table here, ready to rock. Got the, you know, there's the crankcase filter, breather assembly right there. There's the rocker cover just chilling. So got my tool bag up there with the tools that I need, and let me show you what we're gonna do. Anyway, so this is why I take that plate off, because it sits like right here, and we need to get this out right here, and it just makes it a lot easier to be able to torque that correctly and everything with that off there. So got that out of the way. Here's our fuel rail. Down in here, here's our injectors right here. 6 injectors. We got the injection harness, so I'm going to take each one of these little 7mm nuts off and get that injection harness peeled off there. All right, so I got the injection harness peeled off there to where we can at least get 1 and 2 out of the way before we got to adjust it again. But those are off, and the next thing I'm going to do is relieve the fuel pressure off the rail, because I know there's probably not any pressure on this because it's probably leaked off already because the leak in the system, but you want to go ahead and relieve the pressure right here. The second line in on the rail, there's a relief cut in there, so whenever you break this loose, the fuel pressure will go towards the head and not towards your face. So I'm going to relieve the pressure there, and then I'll take this fuel line off right here, and then I'll take the the nut off for the fuel connector and pull the fuel connector out. Got the line off. Lines are 22 millimeter. Now I'm getting the nut off the fuel connector and it's a 27. So much easier to get that in and out, that breather assembly out of the way. There you go, there's your fuel connector nut. And you reuse these. Set that right there. And we'll pull the connector out. Oh baby. Let me get some pliers. There we go. There's your fuel connector. So that little tip right there goes into the body of the injector. And see, they're keyed. They got a flat spot in there, so they only go one way. And you get new ones when you get new injectors. All right, so the next step is the hold down bolt, which has got a 10 millimeter 12-point head on it. So we're gonna get that guy out of here. There, I got it busted loose. There's the bolt. Now, I'm gonna use a gear wrench indexing bar. Get underneath it, try to pop it out. I'm gonna need 2 hands for this. And there we go, got it popped up out of the hole. 15 liter Cummins QSX injector. It's pretty stout. And this injector right here is $3,400. Can you believe that? Times 6, you do the math. Got our new fuel injector here and our new fuel connector. Just put the clamp on here. There's 2 little divots right there that the hold down clamp goes into. I'll lube up the oil, or lube up the injector with some clean engine oil and just plop, pop that right in, and then I'll torque, and then I'll put the fuel connector in, and then we'll torque the injector to 177 inch-pounds. We'll torque the nut that holds that into 177, and then we torque the hold down bolt to 59 foot-pounds and then the nut to 57 foot-pounds. Why there's 2 foot-pounds difference is beyond me, but that's the spec. Okay, so now I'm going to torque the hold down bolt 177 inch-pounds, and that just gets, you know, everything seated good, and then I'll torque that nut down there to 177. And then I'll torque that to 59 and that to 57 foot-pounds. And there I got the line torqued 35 foot-pounds using a crow's foot. And now I just got to repeat that exact same procedure for the rest of the injectors. So I'm going to go ahead and get all that done. I got all 6 injectors in. Wasn't too bad. Got the injection harness installed. All the fuel lines are hooked up, ready to rock. So now I'm just going to put the rocker cover on and get the crankcase vent assembly all back together, and then we'll be able to test these things. It's all back together. That wasn't too bad. I wish all diesel engines were as easy to replace injectors as this one. This is probably one of the easiest ones to do in my opinion. So everything's all back together. Now I'm going to see if this thing will run. I'm going to reset the fuel trims, and then we're going to reperform the fuel injector high performance test, and hopefully it passes. All right, I reset the injectors, so I just went to fuel injector reset. You select them all, hit next, done. Turn the key off, wait 2 minutes. Now we're going to see if this thing fires. You know you want to. Guess we need a bleeder some more. They get kind of finicky. Okay, come on, little buddy. There you go. Took her a hot minute. Still loading. Alright, well, I'll let this thing get up to operating temperature and then we'll do some testing. And we got her up to 183 degrees. Watching my fuel pressures here. Everything seems to be working just fine. We're going to go to tests, ECM, and then we're going to go to fuel injector performance test. And yep, we are good to go. Already made it farther than it has. All right, you can do it, little buddy. Oh, we are so close to the finish line. Oh, glory, hallelujah. Finally. All right, so the 9570R will live to fight another day. Yes. You know, every time I have done that test that I've shown you and it hasn't passed, it has been the fuel injectors. I haven't had an issue with a high pressure leak anywhere else in the system cause that test to fail yet. So far, it's been injectors every time. So even though the tractor seemed to run okay, it was causing too much fuel to be dumped into the exhaust stream, which was plugging up the exhaust filter, the DPF, causing excessive regens, and that's what was setting the code for too frequent regens. So as I explained before in the previous video on this tractor, the ECM counts the amount of time before and after a regen. So if it goes into a regen within a certain time period too quickly, then it'll set this code for the ECM saying that, you know, we're regenerating too frequently, which is going to reduce the life of our filter if we keep going on like this. So that's what got me out here in the first place. So finally got the problem fixed. Now I just got to clean up all the mess, get the hood back down, and go to the next job. All right, we got the next project here. Got a 4630 sprayer, was setting a code for ECU 105.00, which is the manifold air temp extremely high. So another tech previously replaced the temperature sensor, but the code came back. So I came in, double checked the circuits for the sensor. They're good. So I had to figure out a reason why the manifold temp's actually getting high. On these engines, got a 6.8 liter, and it's almost like you took the front end of a 7330 and slapped it on stilts. That's what a 4630 sprayer is, but it's got a two-part cooling system. So you got two water pumps on the front of the engine. One is for the intercooler and the hydraulic oil cooler, and the other one runs the engine, cools the engine and runs the heater circuit. So, but in order to fill the intercooler side, you have to remove a valve, or you have to loosen it. There's a little plastic valve on the bottom of the radiator, and they never want to turn. So you get a 10 millimeter Allen wrench in this thing and it would slip in there, wouldn't turn. So cut off a piece of 10 millimeter Allen wrench, and we two-part epoxy gorilla glued it into the plastic hex of the valve and then let it sit overnight. And then this morning it broke loose, and I've got it loosened up so it's going to allow the system to fill the other side. So I've got it loose to where it's just dripping a little bit out of the valve, and then I'm going to run it 1700 RPM for 5 minutes or so, let it get good and bled and filled up, and then we'll close the valve, and then we'll see if we still have the problem with the manifold air temp getting high. It doesn't have an air-to-air intercooler. It is only cooled by coolant from that other water pump that's on the front of the engine. So if it's not getting coolant, it's not going to cool the air. So here is the Allen wrench and plug that I'm referring to. I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's in a real bad spot. But if you ever got one of those that won't come out and it slips, you can 2-part epoxy or JB weld and chunk an Allen wrench into it, and then you can turn it with a wrench. So you just back that out until it drips, fill the coolant tank up to the very top, and then run it for 5 minutes, 1700 RPM or so. Let the system get good and bled, shut the valve, make sure your coolant's topped off, and then hit it. All right, so I got it ran and bled and everything. I wanted to show you guys the 2 coolant pumps. I believe made a little mess because I had to fill that coolant tank to the brim. So here is your regular water pump for the engine. And then right up here, right where the fan mounts right here, you got another coolant pump where those lines are going into. And then it goes right up to here, and this is your intercooler right here. There was the manifold temp sensor right there. So that's how that system works. Now he's going to take the sprayer out for a cruise and make sure the code doesn't come back. And off he goes. Fingers crossed. But one thing I did get done yesterday afternoon was I finally got the inverter installed. Check that out. It's in there. Even got an extension cord hooked up. It's going to the back. Got the cables ran through there. So I ended up running the ground cable all the way to the battery. So, but for the most part, I'm not going to be welding with this thing, okay? I just wanted to see what it was capable of doing. I'm mainly just going to be running, I got a 6-bank rapid charger right there. You know, a vacuum pump occasionally, maybe the AC recovery machine. I'm not going to be running huge loads off this thing. You know, battery charger. When I was running the battery charger, it was only 700 watts. So, you know, I'm not going to be running this thing daily. You know, maybe, you know, light loads, mainly running battery chargers, and then, you know, maybe doing like a heavier load of a vacuum pump or something like that, maybe 2 or 3 times a month, you know. So I'm not going to be just loading this thing down all the time. So I think it's going to work out just fine the way I've got it hooked up. So I've got my refrigerator in here. So the next step is I'm going to get a small, like 0.7 cubic feet microwave, the smallest microwave that I can find, and I'm going to put it right here where this Milwaukee Tech bag is. And I'm going to have a microwave in the truck because I am tired of eating cold sandwiches every day. So yeah, big upgrade in the back seat area with the inverter. And then I'll show you what's going on back here. I ran the cord into here, so my electrical reel used to be mounted up here where my generator stand was, and I'm gonna have to get rid of that because I don't need that no more. But yeah, got it, the cord popped in through here. I just need to get a female end installed on the cord and then hook my reel up, and then I'll be good to go there. And then while I was hooking this up, I discovered I have a hydraulic oil leak on my crane. I started noticing drips right here, and I took this little tray off and looked up in there, and I've got the pressure supply hose. I believe there's a crimp leaking on it. Yeah, there's a hose, the bigger line right into there behind this one I'm pointing at. It looks like it's leaking right at the crimp, so sometime I'm gonna have to try to get that hose out of there and make a new hose for that. So that's always lovely. Yeah, little update on the service truck. And it's back. We'll see what happened. All right, the sprayer is fixed. He drove it 7 miles and the code didn't come back. So I'm gonna go to the next service call. Who knows what it's gonna be. All right, so I got back and I had enough time to replace the hydraulic hose that was leaking. This little guy right here, I just made a new one. Pop that in there. It was leaking right here at this crimp right here. So got that fixed and got a new end on the cord coming in. Got my reel hooked up and that's working, so sweet. And then I got my fuel pump back from Scheid Diesel and they installed a new wiring harness on it right here. Yay. So now I'm going to put this fuel pump in the 9100 and hopefully breathe life into her. Threw the pump in there, got it mounted on the mounting studs. My timing marks still line up on the pump in the hole. So now all I got to do is put the Torx bolts in, and I'm going to center the gear in the slotted holes and put the bolts in and torque them to 45 foot-pounds. And then I'll put the oil filter on and then all the fuel lines and the little oil line that goes in there, you know, get this all tidied up and then get the fuel system bled. Okay, everything's hooked up, we're bleeding it. Patty's giving it CPR. Ready for crankage? Pump it, Patty. Pump it, Patty. And again. Whoa. Pump it, Patty. Oh, it's so close, Patty. Breathe, Patty, breathe. What are you doing, Patty? She wants to. Ready? Ah. It wants to. It wants to. Just breathe some life into it, Patty. Lay hands on thee and heal thee. We changed the primer out because it didn't feel right. Got one off another pump. Just try it. Cranking. No smokage? Hey, Ben's saying hi. I think we exercised the demons out of it. It feels a lot better on the primer now. Ready, Patty?
Take her over there, cowboy.
Oh, yeah.
It didn't like cracking the bleeder at the filter, but right after it was like, dude, there was so much air that came out of that, and then it was happy.
Why is it? It's surging.
Still trying to get fuel everywhere, maybe.
I don't know. See, it's.
Settle down. Settle down. Atta girl. Why is it surging like that?
I don't know. Oh God.
Get your hand on that key.
It's taking off. Why? Wiggle that wiring.
I'm afraid to get close to it at the moment.
I just go wiggle it and see what happens. We're not over revving yet. Why is it doing this? It won't idle down.
When it gets low, you just shut it off, if it will.
Well, it's about as low as it's going to get.
I hate to shut it off like that.
For Pete's sake. Why? It's never done that before. To where it's like just slowly climbing. Like that doesn't make any sense.
You don't have any throttle control.
No. The saga continues, Patty.
At least it runs again. At least it's not going to 3,000 RPM yet, but
Yeah.
yeah.
So this tractor has spun me into a realm of pissed off I haven't been in a hot minute. So I called the pump shop and talked to them, told them what it was doing. It's not setting any codes, but the RPM just climbing. It's not going to 3,000 like it did before, because I think that was in the wiring that was shorting out, but I don't know. There's still something going on for the throttle to be all the way down and this thing to be climbing and not set any codes. So the guy at the pump shop wants me to take an injector out and do a pop-off test on it. And they're going to see about possibly sending somebody over tomorrow. So I'm going to try to get one of the injectors out and do a pop-off test on it and see if the pressure's low. He's thinking if the pop-off pressure is low on the injectors and the pump's building good pressure, that it could be over-fueling the injectors possibly and causing the RPMs to go up. I don't know. I talked with Ward. Guy's got 52 years of experience, and he kind of shook it off. He wasn't really sure if that'd really cause anything. He's never seen that before, so I'm just kind of humoring them at this point and doing that. So they also said that they possibly have another pump that could be ready to go by tomorrow. They're currently building it right now, so we got options open. So I guess I'm going to get an injector out and get it tested. All right, so I'm going to go after the number 1 injector. I got all the fuel lines off of it. We have a special tool here. You mainly need this to install it. You don't need it to get the injector out, but see, it's got that sleeve inside of it that slips onto the top of the injector. That keeps the injector from turning while you're tightening that nut. So I'm going to get this injector pulled out. Sorry, I showed you the wrong one. It was the wrong size I got on there. It's too big. This is the correct one. It's actually a 15/16 or 24 millimeter 12-point socket that'll go in there. I just take the sleeve out from it there if I'm just removing the injectors. But ran out of time for today. This is going to have to wait until the morning. Okay, so we got the injector off. Got it in the pop-off tester. Hit it. Oh, that's a good one. Okay. All right, so the injector tests good-ish. You know, it had a good chatter, had a good spray pattern. Supposed to crack 4,200 brand new, 3,800 used minimum pressure, and it's right at 3,600, which is below spec. You can shim the injectors to get the pressure up, or you can replace them, but I don't think that's what our initial problem is. So I called and talked to Shides, and they're going to go ahead. They have another pump that they are building right now, and they're just going to build a complete new pump today, and then we're just going to swap the pumps out and rule this pump out completely, and then go from there. So the 9100 saga still continues, so pause on this for now. I'm going to go look at an 8R340 that's got some emissions codes, and it's in final D rate, so that's never good when you're in final D rate on one of those. So it's got a code for the DEF supply pressure high, so more than likely there's probably a problem in the DEF dosing unit. So I'm gonna go check out that tractor now and see what it needs. Okay, here it is. Tell me where it hurts, sweetie. Okay, there's the code that's making this thing angry right here. We got a DEF dosing unit pressure signal fault. Great. Going through the chart here, is that code active? Yep, sure is. Go to 4. We go to 4, and I'm connected live to the tractor, so it automatically populates the data into there. Pretty cool, huh? Is pressure greater than 11 psi? Yep, sure is. Yes, we go to 11. Return line check. Monitor DEF outlet pressure. Disconnect DEF dosing return line from DEF dosing unit. Is pressure greater than 11 psi? We gotta go in for surgery. So I had to take all that stuff off to get in here. And right here is our dosing unit. So the return line is this middle one here, and I'm gonna pop that bad boy off and see what our pressure is. Okay, it's removed. So turn the key back on. Okay, DEF dosing outlet pressure is 76 psi. That's no bueno. Is it greater than 11? Yep, go to 12. Disconnect dosing unit return line fitting from the dosing unit. Fine. Removed. Oh Lord, it's worse. 82 psi. Yep. Terminal check. Disconnect def dosing unit connector B5501. Perform terminal tests. Alright, I got the connector disconnected from the dosing unit. This is how you do a terminal check. You put the correct flex probe. It gives you a special tool number of which probe to put in there, so it's the exact size of the male pin that goes in the female terminal, and all the pins look great, feel great. Check. Okay, I got my diagnostic test box hooked up. It's a special tool for checking electrical out. So got it hooked up to the battery, and it's got an A and a B, and it's got a place where you put your meters. It tells you what position to put this S1 switch. We're going to go to position 1 right there. So this is just variable resistance to simulate the different resistance on the sensors. So I got it plugged into pin 2 and 4 right there. So now we're supposed to turn the key on and push the S3 button and then check the voltage on the meter. Supposed to have around 5 volts. Oh. 5 volts, hold S3. 4.9 volts. Check. Hey look, I got a puppy dog. How you doing? Doing good? Good. So the next step was to remove the connector off the ECU, do a terminal check. Yep, that all feels good, looks good. And then we checked, I had John, the farmer, help me because he had to probe the dosing unit connector on the other side of the tractor, and I had to be here, so I just told him what pin to go in, and we went through all the circuits and everything was good. It was about 0.6 ohms, which I do have an extension test lead here, so with all the different connections that we got going on, you're allowed 0.2 ohms per connection, so 0.6, we're good. So yeah, that's all the tests that we had to just do right there. Should be all of those circuits. John's going to show us what a real tractor starts up like with no emission codes. Man, this fires right up. Straight into the boot. It's only got 4,500 original hours on it. 4564. Wow. What a treat. It is. It doesn't get any better than this. Now John's gonna drop off his sweet corn planter and go pick up a harrow. So after doing all the circuit tests, Diagnostics said replace def dosing control unit, which is what my initial thoughts were in the first place. I pretty much figured we'd have a dosing unit problem, but I've never actually had one do exactly what this one's doing before, so kind of interesting. Usually they just won't pump or build any pressure, and then you replace the dosing unit usually, but it's kind of new for me. But anyway, our Assumption store has one, so I emailed the store, told them to have Assumption pull it, and they're going to send somebody from Atwood to go get it and deliver it to me, and I'm going to yank this dosing unit out. And done. That wasn't hard at all. I just kind of loosened this bracket, took the bolts out so I could get in here. 3 bolts, yank those out, just falls out. So that was easy. And yeah, this is a Bosch. Bosch is who makes this thing. Made in Austria. Look, I got another puppy dog. You guys remember her? This is Betty, a golden doodle that tried to kill me with the ball when I was working on the 9510R right out here. She wanted to play with this giant like kickball on a rope, and she kept putting it right underneath the ladder. I had a ladder up to the 9R, and she kept putting the ball on the ladder right where I needed to step, and every time I get off the ladder I'd trip and almost fall because that stupid ball. You're ornery, aren't you, Betty? You're ornery. And boom, you ask and you shall receive. New def dosing unit. I'm gonna slap that guy in. Got the def dosing unit in. Hey, look, it's reading what it's supposed to be. 0.3. Let's energize that bad boy here. Let's see. We're just gonna go to def pump diagnostic test here. We're gonna kick it on. Primey. Oh, there it goes. It takes a while to get that filter saturated with def and get it pulled through there. Come on. Once it gets primed, it'll take off to about 130 real quick. There it goes. Oh, my goodness. There we go. What did I say? 130 right there. It's just getting all the air out of the system. Isn't that a thing of beauty? So I'm gonna start this thing up and let it run, and I'm gonna get the step and the panels, covers, and everything all back on. It's all back together. It's time to hit the road. Alright, next service call, 9RX640. He's over there somewhere. Guess I'll wait for him here. So right after the 8R340 was done, hit the road. Boss texted me, he's like, "Where you at?" Allerton. "I'm sending you a pin." Okay. Gave me the customer's name. Click on the pin. Pin doesn't work. So, it's super easy now to find a new John Deere tractor in the field. So I just opened up John Deere Operations Center, typed in the customer's name, go to the map, shows all their equipment where they're running. Clicked on the tractor where it was running over the direction I was going to run. Correct serial number tractor, pulls it right up. Directions to tractor, opens up Google Maps, automatically starts playing it on my CarPlay screen, and off we go. Saves a lot of time. And he's kind of out in the middle of nowhere right now, so it's a good thing we've got that. Oh, and I also have no idea what's wrong with this tractor. All I got was a work order. Well, it's fixed. That was the easiest service call I'm going to have all spring. Guaranteed. So the operator said he had a squeak noise whenever he turns. So I got to looking in there, and there was a grease zerk that still had the green paint on it that's never been greased. Right where the transmission drive shaft goes right into the gudgeon area. There's a grease zerk right there. And as soon as I put some grease in that, squeak went away. Also, the top hinge pin was pretty dry too, so I just, went ahead and shot a whole tube of grease in every grease zerk that's on that tractor, and no more squeaky squeak. Read the book, people. Read the book. I'm gonna call the owner. This ought to be good.
Hi.
Guess he doesn't want to answer. Oh well, I'll get a hold of him eventually. Sounds like he's gonna have to have a meeting in the morning and go over all the grease points on the tractor. Well, when you got new operators and they don't know, and no one teaches them, they don't know that it's there, so gotta know where these grease points are. All right, well, I made it back to the shop and didn't have a service call in between. I drove about an hour, so I'm okay with that. It's Friday, 5 o'clock. It's time to go home. So I will see you guys next week, hopefully. And like the video, subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell because I've been releasing videos once a week, so you don't want to miss them. Comment below, let me know how I'm doing. And until next time, keep that green iron moving.